the council chambers filled with representatives from every major species in the galaxy. Word of the Thrax ambush had spread quickly. Some species praised humanity's restraint, others feared their power. The debate would determine whether humans joined the galactic community or remained isolated. Ambassador Yeon-su stood before the council again, but this time she wasn't alone. Behind her stood Captain Hyun-woo, Lieutenant Da-yoon, Chief Engineer Tae-hee, Intelligence Officer Sun-ok, and Science Officer Min-ji. They represented everything humanity had become. The council speaker called the session to order. We have reviewed humanity's application. We have also reviewed reports of the incident with the Thrax Dominion. Before we vote, there are questions. Representative Sang-mi will lead the interrogation. A new figure approached the platform. Sang-mi, humanity's political representative, who had been working behind the scenes for months. She had kind eyes but a stern expression. Thank you, Speaker. My first question is simple but crucial. Humans, if you can build one ship with such power, why not build 10, 20? A fleet that could dominate the galaxy? Why choose weakness when you could choose strength? Captain Hyun-woo stepped forward to answer. Representative Sang-mi, we don't see it as choosing weakness. We see it as choosing purpose. Let me explain with a story. 200 years ago, my ancestor was a soldier in Earth's final war. He carried a rifle that could kill from a kilometer away. But he told me before he died that the hardest part of being a soldier wasn't learning to shoot. It was learning when not to. He paused, letting the council absorb his words. If we built a fleet, we would need commanders trained in warfare. We would need strategies for conquest. We would need to think like conquerors, even if we claimed peaceful intentions. The tools we create shape how we think. We chose to create one tool that could protect us without turning us into something we don't want to be. A council member from the Velkir Empire stood. It was Minho, who had witnessed the first encounter at the blockade. I have a question for Chief Engineer Tae-hee. You said the ship took 30 years and massive resources to build. Explain the true cost to your civilization. Tae-hee stepped forward, his weathered face showing the burden of decades. The cost was everything we had and more. 3 asteroid belts completely mined. 5% of our entire population worked on the project at some point. Research programs that could have cured diseases were delayed. Colony expansions were postponed. For 30 years, humanity put nearly all its spare resources into this single project. He brought up financial displays. Look at these numbers. We could have built 200 adequate warships for the same cost. We could have constructed luxury space stations. We could have terraformed 3 new worlds. Instead, we built one vessel that had to be perfect because we would have nothing else. Every rivet, every wire, every circuit board represents a choice to sacrifice immediate comfort for long-term capability. And if the ship is destroyed? The council member pressed. Then we start over, Tae-hee said simply. It would take a century to rebuild with our current resources. But the knowledge remains. The cooperation that built it remains. The will to survive remains. We're not defenseless because we have one ship. We're strong because we have the unity that created it. Another council member spoke up. This one from a military species. You speak of peace, but you possess weapons that could devastate planets. Your singularity technology could be weaponized easily. How can we trust you won't use it for conquest? Science Officer Min-ji answered this time. You're right that we could weaponize our systems. We could project singularities that would tear apart planetary crusts. We could create gravitational pulses that would shatter ships from light years away. We've had this capability for 20 years. We've been attacked, threatened, and tested repeatedly. We've never once used our technology offensively. She displayed technical diagrams. Moreover, our defensive singularities require enormous computational power to maintain safely. If we tried to weaponize them for conquest, we'd need massive infrastructure, weapons platforms, targeting systems, power generators on every ship. Building that infrastructure would transform our entire civilization into a military machine. We've consciously chosen not to take that path. Lieutenant Da-yoon added her perspective. I'm the tactical officer. My job is to protect our ship and crew. I've studied every possible combat scenario. I know exactly how to turn our systems into weapons. But I also know that the moment we do that, we stop being humanity. We become just another aggressive species fighting for territory. We've seen where that leads. Our history is full of empires that rose through conquest and fell through the same violence. We chose a different path. The council interrogator, a stern being named Yo Jin, spoke up. Your restraint with the Thrax fleet is noted, but you also demonstrated terrifying capability. You disabled 300 warships in minutes without any casualties. Doesn't that prove you're too dangerous to join galactic society? Captain Hyunwoo smiled slightly. With respect, it proves the opposite. We had the capability to kill 90,000 Thrax crew members. We chose not to. We disabled their ships carefully, then spent hours rescuing them and repairing their critical systems. If we wanted conquest, we could have taken their vessels as prizes. Instead, we towed them to safety. Our actions reveal our character more than our capabilities do. Ambassador Yeonsu took over. Members of the Council, humanity doesn't ask you to trust us blindly. We ask you to judge us by our actions. In 20 years of space travel, we've never started a conflict. We've rescued ships from 4 different species. We've shared technology for agriculture and medicine. We've protected trade routes without demanding payment. We've evacuated populations from natural disasters. Everything we've done shows what we value: life, cooperation, and mutual benefit. Intelligence Officer Suno K stepped forward with data displays. I've analyzed galactic history for the past 1,000 years. 47 species applied to join the Council during that time. 32 came with battle fleets demonstrating military power. 8 of those 32 later used their fleets for territorial expansion, starting wars. Of the 15 species that came with small peaceful delegations, 0 have started conflicts. Humanity follows the pattern of peaceful species, not aggressive ones. A council member from a cautious species asked, "But what if you change? What if future generations of humans decide to build a fleet and conquer?" Chief Engineer Tae-hee answered thoughtfully, "Then we will have betrayed everything our ancestors built. But consider this. We've had the capability to begin fleet construction for 2 decades. We could have started building warships in secret. We haven't. Our shipyards produce colony vessels, mining equipment, and research stations. Every ship we build is monitored by the Council's intelligence networks. We've been transparent about our capabilities and our limitations." Representative Sang-mi asked her final question. What exactly does humanity offer the Council? Why should we accept a species with 1 ship? Ambassador Yeonsu had been waiting for this. We offer the Eternal Voyager as a neutral peacekeeping asset. When disasters strike, solar flares, asteroid impacts, plague outbreaks, we'll respond. When trade routes need protection from pirates, we'll patrol. When species need evacuation from danger zones, we'll carry them. We offer our engineering expertise, our medical knowledge, and our commitment to peaceful cooperation. We don't ask for territory or special privileges. We ask for fair trade, cultural exchange, and the chance to be part of something greater than ourselves. She gestured to her crew. More than that, we offer an example. We prove that strength doesn't require vast fleets, that security doesn't require aggression, that 1 ship built with purpose and unity can accomplish what 1,000 ships built for conquest cannot. We offer a different path forward for galactic civilization. The council chambers fell silent. The delegates looked at each other, at the humans, at the evidence presented. Finally, Minho from the Valkyr Empire stood. "Speaker, I witnessed the human ship firsthand. I attacked it with my fleet and failed. I expected primitives. I found something entirely different. These humans have mastered technologies we consider theoretical. They've shown restraint we consider impossible. They've demonstrated values we claim to hold but rarely practice. I vote to grant them membership." Other delegates began standing one by one. Some voted yes immediately. Others debated among themselves. The tension grew as the count continued. Humanity needed 2/3 approval to join. The final vote came. The council speaker announced the results. By a count of 27 to 13, humanity is granted provisional membership in the Galactic Council. You will have full rights and responsibilities as of this moment. The Eternal Voyager is recognized as your official representative vessel. Welcome to the galactic community. Ambassador Yeonsu bowed deeply, tears in her eyes. Captain Hyunwoo and his crew stood proud but humble. They had done it. Humanity had earned its place among the stars not through conquest or military might, but through principle and capability combined. As they left the chambers, Sunok received a priority transmission. A colony in the Outer Rim was under attack by pirates. The local defense fleet was overwhelmed. They needed help immediately. High Commander Bak Hyun of the Thrax Dominion watched the council proceedings from his war room. His species believed in strength through conquest. They had built their empire by crushing weaker civilizations. The sight of humans presenting one ship as their entire fleet disgusted him. "They mock us," he said to his officers. "They parade their arrogance, pretending weakness is wisdom. If the Council accepts them, it sends a message that military power doesn't matter. This cannot stand." His intelligence officer, a scarred veteran named Jin Ho, studied tactical displays. "Commander, our spies report the human ship's capabilities. The singularity defense system is real. Our analysts believe it could hold off significant forces." "Analysts can be wrong," Bak-hyun said coldly. "I don't care about their tricks. They have one ship. We have thousands. Numbers always win in the end. We'll destroy their precious vessel and expose their weakness. Then we'll take their colonies before they can rebuild." He turned to his assembled officers. "We'll ambush them as they return to human space. 300 ships in the Kepler asteroid field. They won't escape. Prepare the fleet." But what Bak-hyun didn't know was that humanity's intelligence officer, Suno-K, had been monitoring Thrax communications for days. She was young but brilliant. With a talent for finding patterns in encrypted data, she stood on the bridge of the Eternal Voyager now, presenting her findings to Captain Hyunwoo. "They plan to ambush us in the Kepler field," Sunok explained, showing intercepted messages. 300 warships. Bak-hyun believes he can overwhelm our defenses through sheer numbers. Captain Hyunwoo studied the data calmly. "When?" 2 days from now, assuming we take the direct route home. They're already positioning their fleet." Lieutenant Da-yoon crossed her arms. "Captain, we should call for Council assistance. This is exactly the kind of aggression the peacekeeping forces should handle." "No," Hyunwoo said quietly. "The Council is still deciding whether to accept us. If we run to them for help, we prove we're weak. If we fight and win, we prove we're dangerous. Neither outcome helps our case, so what do we do?" Sunok asked. Hyunwoo smiled slightly. "We teach Commander Bak-hyun what humanity learned long ago, that violence is the most expensive solution to any problem. Prepare the drones." 2 days later, the Eternal Voyager entered the Kepler asteroid field, moving at standard speed. Captain Hyunwoo sat in his command chair, watching sensor displays. The asteroids provided plenty of hiding spots. He knew Bak-hyun's fleet was out there waiting. "Captain," Sunok reported, "I'm detecting power signatures. 300 ships surrounding our position. They're charging weapons." "Expected," Hyunwoo said. "Open a channel to the Thrax flagship." The screen lit up showing Bak-hyun in his war room. The Thrax commander grinned with predatory satisfaction. "Captain Hyunwoo, how convenient of you to spring my trap. Surrender your ship now and I'll allow your crew to live as prisoners." "Commander Bak-hyun," Hyunwoo replied calmly, "we know you've been planning this ambush for 6 days. We came anyway because we want to show you something important. You believe numbers equal strength. Today we'll demonstrate why you're wrong." Bak-hyun's grin faded. "You knew? And you still came? You're either brave or foolish. Either way, you're dead. All ships open fire!" 300 Thrax warships emerged from behind asteroids, weapons blazing. The volume of fire was incredible, enough to destroy a battle station. The singularity field around the Eternal Voyager activated immediately, absorbing the bombardment. Space around the human ship turned into a light show of captured energy. "Their shields are holding," Jinho reported from the Thrax flagship. "Estimated time to breach unknown. The ship is absorbing everything. Then we overwhelm them," Bak-hyun snarled. "Continuous fire. Drain their power reserves." But Lieutenant Da-yoon was smiling on the bridge of the Eternal Voyager. "Captain, we're at maximum charge. Ready when you are." "Launch the swarm," Hyunwoo ordered. Thousands of small objects erupted from launch bays all around the human ship. They looked like maintenance drones, small, simple, unarmed. The Thrax fleet barely noticed them at first, focused on their bombardment. But Sunok had programmed each drone with precision. The drones scattered through the asteroid field, moving with purpose. Each one was equipped with miniaturized singularity generators, tiny versions of the ship's defensive system. They swarmed toward the Thrax fleet like angry insects. "Commander," Jinho called out in alarm, "those drones are approaching our ships. They're creating gravitational distortions, small scale but focused on specific systems. Shoot them down," Bak-hyun ordered, but there were too many moving too fast. The drones reached the first line of Thrax warships and went to work. They didn't attack with weapons. Instead, they created precise gravitational shears at critical points. Engine assemblies, weapon power conduits, Shield generators, communications arrays, life support junctions metal twisted, systems failed. Alarms screamed across Thrax ships as their most vital components simply tore apart from gravitational stress. Within minutes, a dozen ships went dark, powerless and drifting. "What's happening?" Bok-hyun demanded. Chief Engineer Tae-hee appeared on the communication channel, his tired face showing satisfaction. "I designed those drones 30 years ago, Commander. Each one can build a space station or disable a warship. We choose their purpose. Today, they're choosing to protect our ship by eliminating threats non-lethally." The swarm continued spreading through the Thrax fleet. Ship after ship lost power, weapons, shields, or engines. The drones worked with surgical precision, disabling without destroying. Not a single Thrax crew member died, but their vessels became helpless metal coffins floating in space. Bok-hyun watched his fleet fall apart, understanding dawning in his eyes. "You could have killed us all." "Yes," Captain Yunwoo agreed. "Every drone could have created a singularity inside your ships, tearing them apart from within. Your entire fleet would be debris by now. We chose differently. We chose to show you mercy because that's what humanity does." Within 30 minutes, all 300 Thrax warships were disabled. They hung in space like broken toys, crews alive but unable to fight or flee. The Eternal Voyager moved among them, scanning for casualties. "Commander Bok-hyun," Yunwoo said, "your crews are running low on life support. Your emergency systems won't last more than a few hours. You have two choices. Let us help you or suffocate in your pride." Bok-hyun sat in his command chair, humiliated beyond words. His grand ambush had failed completely. The humans had anticipated everything. They had won without killing anyone. It made his defeat even more bitter. "Why?" he asked quietly. "Why help us after we tried to destroy you?" "Because we understand anger and fear," Yunwoo replied. "Our species nearly destroyed itself from the same emotions. We learned that the cycle of violence only ends when someone chooses to stop it. Today we choose to stop it. Tomorrow perhaps you'll make the same choice." The Eternal Voyager began rescue operations. Drones that had disabled the ships now helped repair critical systems. Medical teams were transported to vessels with injured crew. The human ship even provided power to Thrax vessels whose reactors had failed. Soon OK coordinated the rescue efforts with quiet efficiency. "Captain, we've got repair teams on all critical vessels. Life support is stable across the fleet. Commander Bok-hyun's flagship needs engine parts we don't have. But we can tow them to the nearest Thrax station." "Do it," Yunwoo ordered. Hours later, as Thrax crews recovered from their shock, Commander Bok-hyun contacted the human ship again. His pride was shattered, but something else had replaced it: curiosity and grudging respect. "Captain Yunwoo," he said, "I underestimated you completely. I thought you were weak because you had only one ship. I thought numbers meant strength. I was wrong about everything. Numbers can mean strength," Yunwoo replied, "but only if used wisely. You committed 300 ships to destroy one. You failed because you didn't understand what you were facing. We committed our one ship to save 300. We succeeded because we understood exactly what we were doing." Jin-ho appeared beside Bok-hyun on the screen. "Captain, I've analyzed what your drones did to our ships. The precision is incredible. You could have destroyed us easily. Why show such restraint?" Lieutenant Daeun answered. "Because we don't measure victory by how many we destroy. We measure it by how many we save. Today we saved over 90,000 Thrax lives. That includes the ones who tried to kill us. That's what makes us strong. Not our weapons, but our choices." As the Eternal Voyager prepared to tow the damaged Thrax vessels to safety, Commander Bok-hyun realized something profound. The humans weren't weak despite having one ship. They were terrifyingly strong because that one ship represented values and capabilities his entire empire couldn't match. They had defeated his fleet without firing a shot, and then saved his people when they could have left them to die. For the first time in his military career, Bok-hyun understood that there were forms of power beyond simple violence. The council chambers were ancient and enormous. Delegates from 40 species sat in curved rows facing a central platform. The room was designed to show the power and unity of galactic civilization. Today it would witness something unprecedented, a species with one ship asking to join. Captain Yunwoo stood on the central platform with 3 members of his crew. To his right was Lieutenant Daeun, her tactical expertise evident in her alert posture. To his left stood Ambassador Yeon-soo, an older woman with gray hair and wise eyes. Behind them was Chief Engineer Tae-hee, a man whose tired face showed the burden of maintaining impossible technology. The council speaker, a tall being with crystal skin, addressed them. Humanity requests membership in the Galactic Council. This is unusual. Most species send large delegations with many ships. You send 4 people and 1 vessel. Explain yourselves. Ambassador Yeon-su stepped forward. She had prepared for this moment for years. Honored council members, humanity thanks you for this opportunity. We understand our situation appears strange. We ask permission to explain our history so you might understand our choices. Proceed, the speaker said. Yeon-su activated a holographic display that filled the air above the platform. It showed Earth, a blue-green planet turning slowly. This is our homeworld. It looks peaceful now, but 300 years ago it was dying. The hologram shifted, showing images of Earth in crisis. Massive storms, rising oceans, burning forests, cities in ruins. In the year 2134, humanity faced simultaneous catastrophes. Our climate was collapsing from centuries of pollution. Nuclear weapons threatened to destroy what remained. An artificial intelligence we created turned against us, and a massive asteroid was approaching on a collision course with Earth. The council members leaned forward, interested despite themselves. Many species had crisis stories, but few survived multiple extinction events at once. We had a choice, Yeon-su continued. We could fight each other for the remaining resources. Nations could try to save themselves alone, or we could work together on something that might save everyone. The hologram showed the early designs of the Eternal Voyager. Every nation on Earth contributed. The Americas provided rare metals. Asia provided manufacturing expertise. Europe provided scientific knowledge. Africa provided energy resources. We pooled everything into one project, a ship that could carry survivors if Earth became uninhabitable. Chief Engineer Tae-hee spoke up, his voice rough from years of work. The original design was simple, a generation ship carrying 50,000 people with basic supplies. But as we built, we kept improving. We solved the climate crisis using new energy technology developed for the ship. We prevented the nuclear war because nations were cooperating for the first time in centuries. We defeated the rogue AI using quantum computers designed for the ship's navigation. We even redirected the asteroid using gravitational technology we invented for the ship's engines. So you saved your world, the council speaker said. Why continue building the ship? Because we learned something important, Yeon-su replied. Working together made us stronger than we had ever been alone. The ship became more than a survival tool. It became a symbol of what humanity could achieve through unity. We decided to finish it and use it to explore the stars. The hologram showed the construction of the Eternal Voyager over 3 decades. Thousands of workers in space stations, massive components being assembled in orbit. The slow, careful integration of technologies that shouldn't work together but somehow did. Lieutenant Da-yoon stepped forward. I was born during the ship's construction. My parents both worked on the gravitational systems. I grew up seeing how much this ship meant to everyone. It wasn't just a machine. It was hope given physical form. Every person on Earth felt connected to it. But why only one? A council member called out. You had the technology. You could have built a fleet. Ambassador Yeon-su smiled sadly. We could have. But we asked ourselves what kind of species we wanted to become. If we built a fleet, we would need military commanders. We would need weapons factories. We would need to train soldiers instead of scientists. We would recreate the same patterns that nearly destroyed us. She gestured to the hologram, which now showed the Eternal Voyager completed and in operation. So we chose differently. We built one ship perfect as we could make it. A ship that could defend itself without being aggressive. A ship that could serve multiple purposes without specializing in war. A ship that represented peace, not conquest. Chief Engineer Tae-hee continued the explanation. This ship can do things your fleets cannot. It can manufacture components for itself. It carries complete medical facilities that can handle any known disease. It has agricultural sections that produce food for 50,000 people. It has schools, libraries, and research laboratories. It's not just a warship or a transport. It's a mobile piece of humanity. And if it's destroyed? Another council member asked. What then? Your species would be defenseless, Captain Hyun-woo answered this time. Then we would rebuild. It would take decades, perhaps a century, but we would do it. The knowledge exists. The cooperation that built this ship still exists. We're not defenseless because we have one ship. We're strong because we have unity. Ambassador Yun-Su brought up new images, the Eternal Voyager in action over the past 20 years. Let me show you what this ship has accomplished. Here it is, evacuating a human colony threatened by a solar flare. 50,000 people moved to safety in 30 hours. Here it is, redirecting an asteroid that would have destroyed a research station. Here it is, providing medical aid to a plague-stricken colony world. More images appeared. The ship standing guard over a trade conference, preventing pirate attacks through its mere presence. The ship building a defensive satellite network around a vulnerable colony. The ship rescuing crew members from a damaged alien vessel that had strayed into human space. We've never started a conflict, Yun-Su said firmly, but we've ended several by simply arriving. Pirates see our ship and flee. Aggressive species reconsider when they understand what they face. We don't need a fleet because we've never needed to attack anyone. Defense and deterrence, that's all we require. A skeptical council member spoke. You claim to be peaceful, but you possess terrible power. Those singularity weapons could destroy planets. How can we trust you won't use them? Because we haven't, Captain Hyunwoo said simply. We've had this technology for 20 years. We've been threatened, attacked, and tested many times. We've never weaponized our defensive systems. We could have conquered our neighboring regions easily. We chose not to. Our actions prove our intentions better than any words. Chief Engineer Tae-hee added something important. Council members, I want you to understand the cost of this ship. 3 asteroid belts were mined completely. 10,000 scientists worked their entire careers on it. 30 years of our civilization's total focus. The economic strain was enormous. We cannot build another quickly. We chose to dedicate those resources to one perfect vessel, rather than many adequate ones. That choice reveals our values. Ambassador Yun-Su made her final point. Humanity asks to join the Council not as warriors but as partners. We offer the Eternal Voyager as a peacekeeping vessel for Council operations. We'll respond to disasters, protect trade routes, and evacuate endangered populations. We ask for fair trade agreements and cultural exchange. We don't want territory or tribute. We want to be part of something larger than ourselves, just as every human is part of something larger through this ship. The Council chambers fell silent. The delegates looked at each other, at the humans, at the images still floating in the air. They had expected primitives begging for acceptance. Instead, they faced a species that challenged fundamental assumptions about power, about defense, about what it meant to be strong. The Council speaker finally spoke. This is unprecedented. We must deliberate. You will receive our answer within 3 days. As the humans left the platform, Ambassador Yun-Su felt both hope and worry. They had told their truth. Now they could only wait to see if the galaxy was ready to accept a species that chose to carry all its strength in a single vessel, built not for war but for survival, service, and the stubborn belief that cooperation was stronger than conflict. Admiral Tae-yang watched the human ship moving through his fleet like it owned the space. His pride burned. His reputation was on the line. Every captain in the Velker Empire would hear about this moment. He couldn't let one primitive vessel embarrass him. All ships, he commanded through the fleet channel, target the human vessel. Full weapon spread. On my mark. His tactical officer hesitated. Sir, are you sure? We don't understand their defensive technology yet. I don't care about their tricks, Tae-yang snapped. They absorbed 3 torpedoes. Let's see them handle 3,000. Fire. The blockade fleet opened fire simultaneously. Plasma torpedoes, particle beams, kinetic missiles, and energy lances streaked through space from every direction. It was enough firepower to destroy a small moon. The bombardment converged on the Eternal Voyager from all sides. The human ship didn't try to dodge. It maintained course and speed as if nothing was happening. Around its hull, space itself seemed to ripple and twist. Points of absolute darkness appeared, dozens of them, forming a sphere around the vessel. Every weapon that touched that sphere simply vanished. On the Iron Fist bridge, the science officer called out in amazement. Sir, energy readings from the human ship are climbing rapidly. 30% increase, 50%, 70%. They're absorbing everything we're throwing at them. Tae-yang gripped his command chair. Impossible. No system can handle that much energy at once. Their ship should be overloading. But the human ship continued forward untouched. The bombardment lasted for 30 seconds before Tae-yang finally ordered a ceasefire. His ships had expended enormous amounts of ammunition and energy. The human vessel looked exactly the same as before, except now those strange dark points around it glowed with captured power. The communications channel opened. Captain Hyunwoo appeared on screen again, still calm. "Thank you, Admiral. Our reserves are now at maximum capacity. We won't need to refuel for several months. Your generosity is appreciated." Behind Hyunwoo, Lieutenant Dayun was smiling. "Captain, should I return fire?" "We have more than enough power now." "No need," Hyunwoo said softly. "The Admiral has made his point. We've made ours. No one needs to die today." Taeyang felt humiliation burning through him. The human was showing mercy, as if Taeyang's entire fleet was harmless. "What are you?" he asked quietly. Hyunwoo seemed to consider the question. "We're survivors, Admiral. We come from a world that nearly destroyed itself many times. We learned hard lessons about violence and waste. When we finally built a ship to go into space, we built it to last. We built it to handle anything." "You're saying one ship can match a fleet?" "Not match," Hyunwoo corrected. "We don't think in terms of matching or defeating. Our ship exists to protect and serve humanity. It defends when necessary, but it's not a weapon. It's a home. It's a factory. It's a hospital. It's a rescue vessel. It's whatever we need it to be." A new voice came over the channel. A young woman in a science uniform appeared on screen. She had determined eyes and spoke with technical precision. "Admiral, I am Minji, Chief Science Officer. I understand your confusion. Let me explain what you're seeing." She brought up holographic displays that appeared on Taeyang's screens as well. "Our ship is surrounded by a network of controlled micro-singularities. Each one is a tiny, stable black hole held in perfect equilibrium by gravitational dampeners. When your weapons approach our hull, they're pulled into these singularities and broken down into pure energy. That energy is then channeled into our power systems." "That's insane," Taeyang's science officer blurted out. "One miscalculation and those singularities would collapse or expand. They could consume your entire ship or create a cascading gravitational wave." Minji nodded. "Correct. That's why only one ship uses this system. It took our best physicists 30 years to perfect the calculations. Every component must be manufactured to tolerances measured in individual atoms. We cannot mass-produce this technology. Even building a second ship would take decades and resources we don't have." Admiral Taeyang began to understand. "So you built one perfect ship instead of many good ships?" "Exactly," Captain Hyunwoo said. "We chose quality over quantity, survival over conquest. Every human colony contributed resources to this project. Every scientist shared their knowledge. This ship represents all of humanity working together." Lieutenant Dayun stepped forward on the screen. "Admiral, I grew up on Earth. I remember the stories my grandparents told about the old wars. Before we built this ship, humanity nearly went extinct several times. Nuclear weapons, climate collapse, AI conflicts. We survived because we learned to cooperate. This ship is proof of that cooperation." "But why only one?" Taeyang asked. "With such technology, you could build a fleet over time. You could become a dominant power in the galaxy." Hyunwoo's expression turned sad. "Because building a fleet would require militarizing our entire society. We would need to dedicate all our resources to ship construction. Our colonies would become factories. Our children would become soldiers. We would become the thing we fought so hard to escape, a civilization defined by war." "So you choose to remain weak?" "We choose to remain human," Hyunwoo corrected. "And we're not weak, Admiral. Your fleet just attacked us with everything it had. Did we suffer any damage?" Taeyang had no answer. His science officer was studying the sensor data with growing concern. "Admiral," the officer said quietly, "I've been analyzing the energy patterns around the human ship. Those singularities aren't just defensive. If they wanted to weaponize them, they could project gravitational shears that would tear our ships apart from the inside. They could create artificial gravity wells that would crush our hulls. They could—" "Enough," Taeyang interrupted. He didn't want to hear more. The implications were clear. This single human ship could, theoretically, destroy his entire fleet if it chose to. The humans had shown remarkable restraint by not retaliating. On the screen, Captain Hyunwoo seemed to read his thoughts. "We don't want to destroy anyone, Admiral. We never have. When pirates attack our trade ships, we disable their vessels and offer them medical care. When natural disasters strike planets, we provide rescue operations. When colonies need supplies, we carry them. This ship does everything our people need, and it does so without unnecessary violence. How can you defend all your worlds with just one ship? Tai Yang asked. You can't be everywhere at once. We don't need to be, Lieutenant Daun said. Our presence is known. Pirates avoid our territory because they know we will respond. Our colonies have defensive stations for local threats, and we've never started a war, so we have few enemies. The Eternal Voyager patrols our space and handles major incidents. It's been enough for 20 years. Science Officer Minji added. Additionally, our ship carries advanced manufacturing capabilities. If we needed to, we could build defensive satellites or station weapons in any system we visit. We prefer not to, but the capacity exists. Admiral Taeyang felt the weight of his decision pressing down on him. He could continue attacking, wasting resources on a futile effort. He could try to retreat and claim technical difficulties, or he could accept the truth. These humans were not primitives. They were something else entirely, something that challenged every assumption about power and military strength. Captain Hyunwoo, Taeyang said finally, I will escort your ship to the council chambers, but I will also recommend that the council consider carefully before making any decisions about humanity. You are either the most peaceful species we've ever encountered or the most dangerous. Perhaps you are both. Hyunwoo bowed his head slightly. Thank you, Admiral. We look forward to proving which one we truly are, and for what it's worth, we hope to become friends rather than threats. The Eternal Voyager continued its journey, now flanked by the Valkyr fleet. But everything had changed. The escorts were no longer guards keeping the humans out. They were witnesses to something new in the galaxy, a species that had found strength not in numbers but in unity and purpose. The alarm system screamed across the Valkyr Empire's border stations. Something had entered restricted space without permission. Admiral Taeyang stood on the bridge of his flagship, the iron fist staring at the scanner displays with growing irritation. A single ship had crossed into the forbidden zone, ignoring every warning beacon and automated message. How big is it? Taeyang asked his sensor officer. About 300 meters long, sir. Standard configuration. Nothing remarkable, the Admiral frowned. 300 meters was small compared to his dreadnoughts. Each of his warships measured over a kilometer in length. He commanded 200 ships in this blockade fleet, 200 of the most powerful vessels in the galaxy, all gathered here to protect the approach to the Galactic Council's home system. Send another warning, Taeyang ordered. Tell them to turn back or face destruction. The communications officer worked quickly, then shook his head. Sir, they're responding. The ship identifies itself as the Eternal Voyager, registered to humanity. The captain requests peaceful passage to the council chambers. Humanity? Taeyang had heard of them, a young species from a backwater region. They had 12 colony worlds scattered across their territory. Ambitious but insignificant. Tell them to send a proper diplomatic fleet. One ship is an insult to the council. There was a pause as the message was transmitted and a response came back. The communications officer looked confused. Sir, the human captain says this is their diplomatic fleet. He claims this is their only military vessel. Laughter erupted across the bridge. Even Taeyang couldn't help but smile. Their only ship? They have 12 colonies and only one ship to protect them. What kind of fools are these humans? The tactical officer spoke up. Sir, we're getting a video feed from the human vessel. The captain wants to speak directly. Put it on screen. The main display flickered and showed the bridge of the human ship. It was clean and well lit, with crew members working at various stations. In the center stood a man in a simple gray uniform. He had dark hair and calm eyes. He looked young for a captain, maybe 40 years old by human standards. I am Captain Hyunwoo of the Eternal Voyager, the human said. His voice was steady and polite. We come in peace to speak with the Galactic Council. We request safe passage. Taeyang leaned forward in his command chair. Captain Hyunwoo, I am Admiral Taeyang of the Valkyr Empire. You are in restricted space. The Council does not meet with species who send only one ship. It shows disrespect. Send a proper fleet or turn back. Hyunwoo's expression didn't change. With respect, Admiral, this is our fleet. We have built only one vessel for space military operations. It serves all our needs. Impossible, Taeyang said flatly. You cannot defend 12 worlds with one ship. You cannot project power. You cannot even protect your trade routes effectively. What happens when pirates attack multiple colonies at once? It hasn't been a problem, Hyunwoo replied simply. The Admiral felt his patience wearing thin. These humans were either lying or incredibly stupid. Captain, I will give you one more chance. Turn your ship around and leave this system. If you refuse, I will consider it an act of aggression. My fleet will respond accordingly." A young woman appeared at Hyunwoo's side on the screen. She wore the same gray uniform with lieutenant markings. She had sharp features and alert eyes. "Captain, should I activate defensive measures?" "Not yet, Da-un," Hyunwoo said quietly. "Let's give the Admiral time to reconsider." Taeyang felt anger rising in his chest. These humans dared to threaten him? You speak of defensive measures? My sensors show your ship has no shield generators. Your armor is standard alloy. You have minimal weapons. What exactly do you plan to defend yourself with? Standard systems, Hyunwoo said. Admiral, we truly wish to avoid conflict. We have traveled a long way to meet the Council. We have much to offer in friendship. Friendship? Taeyang stood up from his chair. You enter our space without permission, refuse lawful orders, and speak of friendship? You are primitives playing at civilization. I will teach you respect. He turned to his tactical officer. Target their engines. Fire a warning shot. Show them we are serious. 3 of the nearest Valkyr destroyers adjusted their positions. Their weapons powered up, glowing with deadly energy. On the screen, Captain Hyunwoo remained calm. He didn't order evasive maneuvers. He didn't raise shields. He simply stood there, waiting. Fire, Taeyang commanded. 3 plasma torpedoes launched from the destroyers, streaking through space toward the human ship. They were set to low power, just enough to damage the engines and force a retreat. The torpedoes closed the distance in seconds. Then something impossible happened. The torpedoes vanished. They didn't explode. They didn't bounce off shields. They simply ceased to exist about 200 meters from the human ship's hull. What happened? Taeyang demanded. His sensor officer was frantically checking his displays. Sir, I don't know. The torpedoes just disappeared. I'm reading strange spatial distortions around the human vessel. Multiple points of extreme gravitational stress. Gravitational stress? What does that mean? Before anyone could answer, a new voice came from the human ship. A woman in a science officer's uniform appeared next to Captain Hyunwoo. Admiral, this is Science Officer Minji. I apologize for the confusion. Our ship is protected by a controlled singularity field. Your weapons were absorbed by micro-black holes. The energy from your torpedoes has been converted into our power reserves. Thank you for charging our batteries. The bridge of the Iron Fist fell silent. Every officer stared at the screen in shock. Controlled singularities? Micro-black holes? Such technology was theoretical, dangerous, and far beyond what any species had achieved. Taeyang felt cold sweat on his neck. You're lying. No one can control singularities safely. Certainly not a primitive species like humanity. Hyunwoo tilted his head slightly. We're not lying, Admiral. And we're not as primitive as you think. We built this ship over 30 years, using every resource we could gather. It represents the best of what humanity can achieve. We don't build many ships because we don't need to. One is enough, the Admiral's mind raced. If the humans truly had such technology, this single ship might be more dangerous than his entire fleet. But how could that be possible? They were a young species, barely 2 centuries into space travel. Admiral, his tactical officer said nervously, I'm reading massive power fluctuations from the human ship. Their reactor output just increased by 30% from absorbing our torpedoes. Lieutenant Da-un smiled slightly on the screen. We can absorb much more than that, Admiral. Would you like to continue testing our defenses? My captain prefers peace, but I'm always interested in gathering more power for our systems. Taeyang stood frozen, unable to decide. Attack a ship that ate weapons for fuel? Retreat and look weak in front of his fleet? Contact the Council for instructions? Captain Hyunwoo made the decision for him. Admiral, we will continue toward the Council chambers. You may escort us if you wish. We mean no harm to anyone. We simply want to talk. But we will not turn back. Humanity has waited long enough to join the galactic community. The Eternal Voyager began moving forward, passing through the blockade fleet as if the 200 warships didn't exist. Taeyang watched it go, his hand hovering over the firing controls, knowing that whatever he did next would change everything.